We all want to be good at solos, and being solos opens the door to other avenues. So we're going to go ahead and watch the first place of TNA Cam and see how he won the solo cash cup. Now we checked the match history. Honestly, nothing crazy, but the consistency is key. Only one game is he not making it to Endgame, and that is why he's so successful. So let's take a look, see what he did, and dive right in. So this is a very last match, and Cam is sitting pretty going into this last game. These are the custom format lobbies, so playing against the same people, and he's going Bugle. Really interesting to see him land here. We see he's also contested by, looks like, 4 other players. You got Nani, Sween, Jays, and Lucky. So not the easiest of places to land off spawn. We do see he picks a corner building and is going to grab this corner building and decide not to play in all the chaos. He gets this himself while the other players were contested here. So it's a pretty smart play not to fight off spawn, especially in the last game when you have a chance to win. You don't really want to go for any kind of 50-50s here. But he's not going to do anything crazy off spawn, really just going to farm this building, take all the loot. And then I believe he's going to rotate out of here and put himself into a position. We see he's taking tags on players, but he's not really trying to fight anybody. He doesn't want to get involved in these early game fights. He's got the stinger. He's going for a shotgun. And he's got a full loadout too. So really good position here. The only thing that he would prefer, if I'm him, is a better shotgun. And we see he's getting pressured. Someone's jumping on his head. He builds big. He extends. And this fight could go the wrong way, but honestly, he built big enough. He has enough space. This player above him is just going to sit here. And Cam doesn't really have to do much. He's just kind of chilling. And he's like, I don't want to fight this. I'm out. Which is a smart play. Fighting off spawn, especially when we know there's multiple other people's, is just shambles. It's a no-win situation. If he does win that fight, he's going to wind up getting third-partied. So smart play getting out of there, and then he's just going to farm up some more. All we really missed there was he farmed up, he got himself a shotgun, he got back to full HP, took a couple of pop shots at players as they were rotating in and out of the area. So nothing crazy. Buys himself a shotgun and in a really good spot now. Basically as max materials as you can get coming out of the Bugle. We know that there's plenty of opportunity to get both wood and brick all across this map. Got himself a good bit of ammo, and he hasn't really left here yet. We'll speed this past until he decides to rotate out. But one thing I do notice is how well he's using all these webs to move around this area. He's not necessarily just like walking and sticking to one area. Very much using the mobility based around this POI, which is smart. You got to use what's given to you. You may not land at the Bugle, but there's going to be other advantages of your POI, so I highly recommend you figure out what those are and then play to their strengths. And as we can see, he's already basically back up to max builds. So not going to be an issue for him. He has the mats. We'll take a peek. Look what second zone looks like here. Basically going into Sleepy. So he's got to get himself across here, because if he doesn't, we see how many players are already in Sleepy. And he knows he needs to do that, so we're trying to get further in. And really, he's just moving from build to build. Trying to get himself across the river here, break some line of sight. So he's not going to need surge tags for this third zone, but typically in solos, the 5th and the 7th zone surge hits pretty hard. So you got to get yourself in a spot there to not have to worry about that. I'm going to just skip this forward until we see where third zone pulls, and we'll watch the rotate. So it does pull further into Sleepy. Pretty much able to walk this. And we can see every time that he's rotating. So let me just go back. So we see where he is now, right? He just moved to that brick, posted up on that. Moved to this brick, posted up on that. He moved to this wood, posted up on that, and moved to this brick, posted up on that. So he's moving to places where he can refarm every single rotate. Even if it's not fully in the path to zone, it's still closer. And then he's using those builds and then getting himself a place he can refarm. Now he's trying to get in, find himself a good spot. You don't necessarily want to push too far in because you'll get yourself in trouble. And now we can see he's just hitting the refarm again. And it's really important in solos because you don't have nearly enough mats. So third zone, he's playing edge. Going to look for tags on players. Not going to really overcommit because he's gotten a decent bit of damage off spawn. What you want to do, though, is keep players away from you. You don't want to have to be fighting for your space. So we see that's what he's doing, trying to force players towards the outside of him. So that way they rotate in different areas. It's not 100% necessary, but it's definitely like a nice little piece to have at least a few tiles of your own to work with rather than having to fight everyone for like a single tile that you're working on. And key piece right here, we see that he has marked the zone. We're going to have to go back to his POV, but he marks where zone is so he can visually see where he has to rotate to. It's a really smart piece just so you can visualize that full rotate rather than getting out of your box and then while you're getting shot at, you're still trying to figure out where you need to go. We see he marks it again. It's just a nice little habit to get yourself into. And boom. So he uses 2 web shooters to make this rotate, and just one little key piece is holding your wall after you rotate. So instead of simply just making the rotate and then waiting to get shot at in order to hold your wall, we see, boom, builds in hard mats right away, and then he's sitting here waiting, right? He knows he just built in fresh build, someone's going to shoot at him, and he's ready to use that armored wall. Boom. That immediately stops the pressure from that side, puts down another one, boom. Now he's safe and chilling. Really smart play, good awareness. And he doesn't try and do too much while he's in zone right there, right? He waits until all the pressure is subsided and he can just relax and then start putting pressure on other players. And he doesn't have an AR to take long tags, so he's got to look for somebody nearby. Most likely it's going to be the players rotating in late. Does get just enough damage on the player right next to him. Don't know if that's going to hold, though. It's 7 more players need to go down. So right now he's kind of frantically looking for surge damage. And with the SMG, you can kind of rely on getting 1 or 2 shots through. Falls below again. Going to start taking damage to surge. And he's going to use the bigs to heal through this. Because players are starting to rotate and fight. So he should be okay if he just keeps popping the bigs. It's not the best. Oh, all right. Hold on. Let's go back and watch that real quick. That is an interesting little play. So he knows he needs surge. Sees this player getting sprayed. He's watching what's going on. He sees the opening. And he's like, I need surge, otherwise I'm going down. Likely heard a shield crack too, because that was just a clean shot. And then now he's going to be able to claim all this loot. He gets a surge damage. And even a little bit of a refresh. Actually, I think the other Spider-Man had less than what he had. So, nothing too crazy. And now the rotate has to come through. Again, going to use the Spider-Man. And you notice how he's not going too high. He's staying like really low. Little rotate with the vehicle. This is a sketchy place to be in. You want to be careful when you're doing this because there's so many players, right? One here, one here, one here, one here. Just so many boxes, another one there that you could get yourself in trouble. So he quickly gets out of that, gets into open space, and then builds himself a 2x. That white tag is going to key him that I need to keep shooting this player. That's going to be a free elim. And then he wanted to grab more of that, but that's not going to happen. Likely going to look for tags. But this player's claimed all this loot, so he's not going to be able to get it. And we see he's going for the shot. I'm not normally a fan of opening up like this because you never know who's going to be right around you, right? There could be players in all these boxes. In fact, a lot of these players are in these boxes that could see him. But nonetheless, probably needs a little more surge damage, and he knows that. Plus, that player was chilling in Storm, so might as well give it a shot. So zone pulls back to Sleepy. Knows he has to go towards that southeast area. And typically what you're waiting for on first moving is to hear and see other players rotating. So all you're doing is minimizing your chance of getting shot at while you're rotating. Because if a bunch of players are rotating, then it's less likely for you to get shot. Only uses one on this rotate. We see there was a player on his layer, so he changes layers. But it may be a time to go get ahead and then once again chill. So he does get on front side here. Only spends about probably 40 mats on that rotate, which is a lot less than players that didn't have the Spider-Man, so we can see how effective the Spider-Man is. Those tags will be more than enough for him, so he's chilling. But he is looking to pressure players. If you can get an elim here, this is really important to get that refresh. Doesn't happen. But nonetheless, it's important also to weaken the players in your lobby. So whether or not you're actually getting the elim, that player then has less mats, less HP. And we can see he's just looking for an opportunity to rotate through here. This is not the best place to be. He recognizes that and gets out of there quickly. You got to avoid getting buried in those builds like he just got out there. Doesn't really make it too far. Doesn't get really any damage though. And now he's out of mats, and he's going to go try and play height. He has the front side of the zone here, so this is a pretty solid play to recognize this. And he has 50 builds, so it could be a lot worse. Takes it basically unconned. The player in the backside didn't really have much hope, and now Cam's just chilling on height. The problem is, though, 50 mats, well, 30 after the height take is not going to give you enough to be able to hold high ground. So he's essentially just holding this for a zone or two. If he is going to hold it at all. Quickly conned. He takes a hell of a lot more damage, but gets white tags on that player. But this elim, that player that just cranked up, could pretty much allow him to hold high ground a whole nother zone. There it is. Thank you, class. There's 40 more builds. And that's basically a whole nother zone that he could hold height and then just chill up there. Now he's in a really good position to own this lobby. Ultimately, he's going to have to close it out, but he has the ammo to chill up here. He's got enough mats. He could use second height and really just barely build. This is something I've noticed a lot of the better solo players do, is not really spending many mats. So just chilling on backside of zone, using other players' builds to rotate through, and just using the bare minimum. It's a really smart play, especially when you're getting yourself in trouble at times with materials. But you need to be very deliberate with your placement of your builds, otherwise you're going to get yourself in trouble. So basically holding height for 2 zones now. And he's chilling. Like, no one's even looked up to try and take high ground from him. So this is as good of a spot as you could be in. And when you're up here, what you're trying to do is recognize the players with builds and spray them. But obviously he's running low on ammo. He doesn't have unlimited at this point. And zone's going to pull back towards him. So that's going to be a really friendly zone for high ground. This is like a bait. You want those mats, but it's definitely going to be counterintuitive to go down and give up your high ground. We see this is a really well played high ground game. Once he had it, he held it against the one player that tried to take it from him, and now it's just a final 1v1v1. If only he had mats. Like, that's damn. Just gets simply outplayed because of the lack of mats. Nani played that well. Cam just had no mats to play around. Nani really didn't even give him many opportunities. The only thing you could say is he missed that one shotgun shot when Nani jumped out. But either way, I mean, there ain't much you could do here, right? Like, we missed that shotgun shot. We get a good bit of damage here. That player's got to be so weak. And if he hits that shot, he wins the game. You can't really, say, oh, man, that was poorly played. It's just a missed shot. And then Nani doesn't eat, you can't hit that peak. That's barely even peaking. Nani hits him for white. He's going to play his angle again, and you can't. Like, there's nothing you could do there. But GG's. Really well played by Cam. I like the combination of the Spider-Man rotates and lack of Spider-Man rotates. It's a combo, and then we see how he plays mid-game. Really well played. Hope you guys learned something. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. My name's Somebody's Gun. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.